All right, good afternoon, everyone. How are you doing so far? Enjoying the conference? All right. Okay, we are very excited to be here in Belgium I'm here together with Horina. My name is Vincent Nicolas. I'm the engineering lead of the NAV client team. And Horina is an engineer on my team. So we're going to show you all the cool stuff we have done in the NAV clients last year. So you'll like it, and let's start. So I guess most of you have seen already 2013 R2. If anything at the keynote, if you haven't tried to install it already or play with the demo. So the first thing, let's go through the agenda very quickly for this presentation. I'll give you a tour of the clients and to show you a little bit what we did in terms of user experience improvements and UI improvements. And after that, we'll demonstrate our new client extensibility framework. Horina is going to show you how to actually end-to-end make a very small add-in for a client. And then, if we have time, we'll show very briefly some of the integration with Office 365 and SharePoint, and Q&A if time permits. So let's jump into it. And first of all, you see how the client looks like. It's pretty different from 2013. So we did a refining of the user interface to what we call the modern UI. And if you're familiar with the latest Office products, for example, and other Microsoft products, you recognize the look and feel of the application. And so the reason why we are aligning around this UI, so if you remember from in the 90s, when computers started having powerful graphic cards, or what used to be powerful back then, we spent a lot of time using it and drawing all sorts of cool icons with 3D effects and borders around the windows, and with culminating with Vista and the glass look and things like that. And it's all very cool, but the effect of that is that your content and what's interesting in terms of UX is actually shrinking because we have to add all this decoration around it. So now we're trying to fix that and go back to some user experience concept and some UI where you actually can focus on what's important, which is the text and the icons and not too much Chrome. So that's the reasoning behind the modern UI paradigm. By the way, this is a web client, but our Windows client looks pretty much the same. So if you look at them side by side, we also restyle the Windows client, even though it's still on the WinForm technology. We did a restyling of this client as well. So alignment across Microsoft products and familiar look and feel. The web client and the Windows client, for that matter, the good thing is that you don't need to do any, the development of the UI that you're familiar with, when you develop your pages. It's just as it used to be. There's nothing special to do to get this new UI. It comes out automatically out of the box. So all your existing pages, they will work just fine. Let's dive a little bit into these UI concepts. So first, the first thing I want to talk about is the navigation. In the previous version, the main nodes of the navigation were on your left pane, and now we move them up at the top on the bar, as Horina is showing to us now, and you still have the subnodes on the left pane. And this is the same concept and the same paradigm that you have on SharePoint. So if you look at the SharePoint side, you'll recognize them look and feel with the navigation at the top and the subnode on the side. So again, alignment across Microsoft products. And the next thing, so that was navigation. The next thing that you will probably notice if you've seen the web client on 2013, we didn't used to support the charts, so there was no charting possible. And the reason for that is that the charts in the Windows client are based on the .NET components, and these components are pretty difficult to surface in a browser environment. So what we did with this release, we enable actually the charting in the web client, leveraging our new extensibility model, which is based on HTML and JavaScript. We'll tell you more about that, as I told you on the agenda slides. But this is basically the same framework than the new framework we have that we are leveraging. And all the charts you have, all the business logic and the setup you have on the business charts, they will now be surfaced in the web client. So again, no change required in your code or any of the customization you have made. You'll get the chart out of the box. Moreover, this chart component we're using there is actually pretty cool. It can do things like you can hide your totals, like Henrina is showing now, and it has some drill down. So when you hover over your data, you'll see the pop-up. If you hover over the data, you see some pop-up of your data there. So pretty cool control that you can leverage here. All right, that was the charting. Now let's talk a little bit about actions. The three tiles you see on the top. So first of all, as you can see, we redesigned the queue as well. So this is a new design, which is more like the modern UI design of the queue stacks. And on top of that, we added the possibility to do custom tiles. So these used to be surfaced as links in the web client. So they were you queue actions. They used to be surfaced as links. Now we're surfacing them as tiles. And not only tiles, simple tiles, but they're also animated, as Henrina was showing. So you get a title, which is the caption of the tile, and then the pop-up is actually the tooltip. And this can be customized. So for example, we can change one of these tile. So there you see in the container control, you have three actions that we see on the role center. And the welcome tile as a tooltip saying click to learn. If we can change the text here, something else, and then we can change the icon to something, like select something like title, for example. We also added a few extra icons and pictures for you there that you can use on the tile. Pick the one, tile people, I like this one. All right, okay, then save and compile, and just refresh the page, and then you'll see that the tile changes with the new text and the new icon. So the possibility here to customize and provide your own action tiles. Then on the paths on the role center or any page actually, the actions for the different parts used to be surfaced in the ribbon, which actually kind of cluttered the ribbon. You had a lot of actions in the ribbon because you have all the actions for the parts, which makes it also a little bit hard to know which actions are for which part. So we remove them from the ribbon to give a sleeker user interface, more lean, and we move them close to the page. So now we have like an action, a context menu. When you click on the three dots, that's going to show you your part action. And again, this is similar to SharePoint and the SharePoint experience. So if you go in any SharePoint list that has actions, you see that a similar UI concept we have here. And we also have the same paradigm for lists or grids. So you see, for example, on a customer list, we have the three dots again, and then you can get your actions that are for this particular line in this menu. Okay. Then finally, in the category actions, we have the new button, which we move also closer to to your context. This is all about context. It's all being able to do what you need to do without having to move the mouse around too much. So then you can still do create new sales quote, for example, on the screens, or new customers using the icon in the ribbon. But we also move it closer to the list. And again, it's like SharePoint. SharePoint have a new button like this one. All right, that was for actions. Now, one of the features that has been asked a lot for is sorting on the list. So now you can very easily do sorting on the list by just clicking on the header, and that will do click once, it will sorting ascending. Click again, that will sort descending, as you expect from that kind of user interface. You can also do it from the context menu. And you can see directly ascending or descending how you want to sort. And actually, in the Windows client, we also support sorting on multiple columns. So if you take, for example, your customer list, you can go and shift click and sort on more than one column. And this is also something you can do programmatically. Horina is showing us how we can do from the user interface, but you can go and actually pre-program your in your code. You can make sure that your list is sorted on any specific field. For example, let's say we want to sort our customer list on the balance. The only thing you need to do is call the set current key, pass it the name of the field that you want to sort on. So the rest of the code is for sorting descending. We want to sort from the highest balance to the lowest. And the find first makes sure that when you open the page, you actually have you actually get the first record on the page selected. Otherwise, if you don't do that, you'll have the selection at the bottom of the list. So if we compile that and refresh the page, you'll see that now it gets sorted on the balance. It's a little off screen. So you see the balance gets sorted from top to bottom. All right, how do you like it so far? All right, thank you. Okay, you were the first to clap, so you get a T-shirt. So be sharp. I have 5 T-shirts to give away during the talk. So I'll have some questions, and if you answer right, you get a T-shirt, right? Okay. So that was sorting and the programmatic model. Now, another new thing we can do is filtering. So we used to have, if you remember, from 2013, we had a quick filter, and the quick filter was actually a kind of a not too good user interface, a little bit not very discoverable and not very intuitive, and it also took a lot of real estate of your screen because it was on top of your list, between the title and the list. So instead, we added an advanced filtering where you can do filtering from the context menu on the headers. So have you probably seen already, there is this filter icon, and then you can type anything there. So that will be filtering on all the customer numbers which have 20 in the strings, and you can actually filtering on multiple columns. So if you want to say also filter on all customer which have DSE, for example, in the name. So that's how it works. And you can filter on as many columns as you want. So that's also a smart way to find your data. And you can reset the filter individually on each column, also from the context menu. And then talking about search, we have improved the page search. So we introduced the page search in the web client in the previous release in 2013. But you could only search on pages. Now we can search on any item. So if you type, for example, sales, there's a lot of items in NAV, which a lot of entities which have sales word in it. And you'll see we have a menu that allows us to filter on, for example, tasks. So if you click on tasks, you get all the tasks with sales in it, or lists, or documents, or extra. One of the reasons why we introduced that in the web client is that the department page from the Windows client is not is the system page, and it's not surfaced in the web page. It's an entry point for several pages, so you cannot get to them in other way than to the search. So that's the way to do it. Now you can open the search log and you can get to any page or any entity of NAV that way. And by the way, so this is also enabled from dialogues. So here we are opening it from the list, but also in the dialog you get a search button. Now we did also a bunch of improvements around the editing and viewing capabilities in the client. So first of all, one of the things that have been asked the most for in the web client was the date picker. It's always cumbersome to type a date. You never remember which format it is, and if you know it's a Wednesday, you have to figure out is that which day is a Wednesday. So the date picker gives you a calendar control, so you can select your date very easily, and at the same time it makes sure that the entry is formatted in the correct date format for NAV. So that was the date picker. Now before I was talking about being able to focus on your data and being focused on the work you do and what you're doing. So we have added this focus on content button, and what it does, actually can you show it on the list?
Yes.
So what it does actually when you click there is that it gets rid of your ribbon, and it hides the ribbon and it hides your navigation, showing you only the lists and only your data that you're working with. You can focus on it, and it's actually a great feature if you have like low resolution, or if you're working on a tablet or something like that. You can get more space and get more real estate for what's important. And as Lorena is showing now, it's actually a familiar feature from SharePoint. So SharePoint has the same button, same icon. So you'll be recognizing it if you're familiar with these products. How many of you are familiar with SharePoint? All right. Okay, you get a T-shirt over there. All right. Thank you. Okay, so that was edit and viewing, and yeah. So another thing is that the focus on content is going to clear everything, including the navigation. But you can also collapse and expand the menu, the ribbon, like you know from other Office products. You still get the tabs, so it's not hiding everything, but you can do that as well. A little more real estate on your screen. The next thing I want to show you is the advanced lookup. So when you say want to look up some data on a field, you can you click on the ellipsis button, and then you get to this advanced lookup dialog. So you can see there where some of your customers that you have. You can create a new one from the new button. And you can also open the full list of customers from there and select your customer from there as well. So this is also new in 2013 R2. All right, I think that was it for the edit and view category. And one feature we added to the web client are notes and record links. This is also something that you guys have been asking for. Which was on the Windows client. So now you can add a note on pretty much any entity. So if you click on note, you see there's already one there. You can create a new one. There's a couple of notes. So it's basically any text you want to, any things you want to attribute your record with. And the notes can be surfaced on your page, so your notes can be surfaced in a fact box. For example, on the balance sheet here, the fact box is showing the note for this particular item. And you can also add links. So the difference between notes and links, the notes are plain text, while links are going to be surfaced as anchors. So you can add a link to a website, some URL, And then when they are displayed in your Firefox, you can just click on them, and that will bring whatever URL you enter there. So that was the records note 6. And the last thing, did I forget something?
No.
The last thing I want to talk about is the online help for both clients. So, how many of you are familiar with the CHUM files? A few of you. Okay. So, the CHUM files are the old way of showing help. And there used to be a Microsoft standard, and you would display this CHUM file. You've probably seen it, even if you're not familiar with the CHUM files, because the extension of the file is CHM, so that's why we call them CHUM files. But you're probably familiar with the help viewer. A lot of products actually still have this kind of help viewing. So this is a typical thick client implementation. So it's a desktop client type of thing, that didn't work with the web client. So what we did, instead of leveraging this, which is an old technology, we moved all the help, including for the Windows client, to a browser-based help. So all your help now is in HTML. So if you click the help icon on your page, you'll be brought to the context-relevant help page. So this is, in that case, the help for the Small Business World Center. In the web client, there used to be, in 2013, there used to be a help icon, but that would just bring you to MSDN and the generic help. This is the actual help that get installed by default when you install your web server. The help server is installed on the same machine, on the same Internet Information server. But you can. There's nothing that prevents you from installing it from installing somewhere else. I'll get back to that in a second. So this is for a page, and then we also have context-sensitive help on fields. For example, here, if you click on the address, on the sell-to address, you'll get to the help for that particular field. And you can also search as you'd expect. So there's a search field up there. You can type anything, and you'll get there. So.
And I think we have also the help available on the columns in the grid, right?
Yeah, that's true. So if you go there on the grid and you click on help, it's part of them. You probably noticed it before, and again you'll get help on these fields. So how many of you have tried to customize help? Yeah, a few. How is it? It's kind of cumbersome, right? So you have to create these files and these templates through the help toolkit, and then you have to recompile the CHUM file, and then after that you have actually to distribute the recompiled help to all your clients. All this is gone. All this has gone away because now all your help is located in a central server. Which can be actually on premises or anywhere else. So as a partner, you can decide to host the help on your premises, and your customers can access your help because it's just a web server. Or you can even host it in the cloud if you want, which allows you to issue updates, and you only issue updates one place on one server. You can even have, let's say you have several customers, you can have several help servers if they're on different versions and if you have different customizations, so you can provide individual help for customers or group of customers. So that's the whole hosting of the help. So no distribution required. That's one big improvement. The other thing is that what you need to do to customize the help. Let's say you create a new table with ID, whatever, and you want to create a help for that table. So the only thing you need to do is go where your server is installed. So Horina is opening like Windows Explorer on the physical location of the files, and you depending on which language you install on, but you'll have a folder with the name relocal. Our installation is English. So if you open that folder, you'll see all the files for the help. They are just plain HTML file. So you can go there and you can edit any of the file there if you want to change an existing one. and you can own. So if you create it, for example, here we have help for, what you see here is all the help for the table 39, for the index 100, 101, and so on. So if you create a table, you just have to create a file in any HTML editor you like to use, with respecting the naming scheme with, for example, T underscore table ID underscore field ID, and you just drop the file in that folder, and that's it, you're done. And your help will automatically be surfaced, and you'll get context-sensitive help that bring you there automatically. Question?
Is there any tool to generate my ISV tables and fields automatically?
So you can, you can still use the help generator from the help toolkit. We still ship it, and you can still generate templates from your meta model. But honestly, it's not giving you a lot, because what it's going to do is it's going to generate a bunch of files which are going to have like the template in it. But you could, you can do that. It still works, right? But you can go and actually take some existing files and rename them, and change the content in it, and then you don't need the help toolkit to do that. Not at this point. Not at this point. So by the way, another thing you'll get for free here is the indexing. So if you again, you don't need to do anything else but just putting your files there, and the indexing will pick them up, and they will surface in the search when you search for them. So for example, if you go back to the help server, and you were searching for help server, and if you click on the link that already been clicked, you'll see here the naming scheme for these files is documented. So you'll see how you need to call your files so they get picked up correctly. So this is well documented. You just follow this naming scheme, and everything will work. All right. So that was it for that was a quick tour of some of the UX improvement we made. I hope you like it so far. Now I'm going to hand it over to Orina. She's going to show you how to develop an HTML add-in in our new extensibility framework. All right, let me switch.
Yes. Oh, you forgot to record.
Sure. Question? So the question is, does the web client runs on a Windows RT? Yes, it does. It's just an HTML client, so it works perfectly well on the Windows RT. Yes. So you want to use name user password, name user scheme for your client, right? Right. So right now we only support one authentication scheme. So if you switch to name user password, that's going to be all of your users. So it's either you use one scheme or the other, but that's going to be for all your clients. But that's you can do that. So if you change to NAV name user pass, that's what you're asking about, right? Yes. But you can do that from the web client. You can surface the user page from the web client and do that from the web client. That's what you're asking. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you can do that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Is it possible to link to several help servers? For instance, if somebody's got an add-on, if they click help on the add-on functionality, they will be directed to the add-on supplier's help server.
So the question is whether we can have multiple help servers, like maybe if you have an add-in, you can go to a separate help server. Not at this point. We only support one web server per client. What you can do is that you could potentially have a link in your add-on. That's getting another server. That's doable. But we only support one server per client. All right.
Yes.
Horina is going to show you a really cool demo, and she's going to show you, talking about add-ons, how we can, what's the new model for that.
Okay. Thank you, Vincent, for the nice tour of web client. So now let's dive into client extensibility framework. Before I start, I would like to ask how many of you have been using the previous version of client extensibility? Okay, so
Yeah,
you get a
quite
t-shirt.
a few people.
Was it you? Can you just pass it? Yes. So for those of you who are not familiar with it, I will talk a little bit about what client extensibility framework is, what is the history behind it, and what is the architecture behind it. So what is a client extensibility framework? It is a programming model for developing what we call client control add-ins. And yeah, what is a client control add-in? It's very simple. It's a custom control, a visual element that the partners can implement themselves, and it can be added to an NAV page. It can interact with NAV data, and yeah. So the thing is, why is this so cool, and why is this so interesting? It is because it opens new opportunities for building a custom look of your application. And there are many controls available on the previous version of the client extensibility, like map control or different chart or different visualization elements. So let's go back. Yes. So the history. The first version of client extensibility was released in 2009 R2, and it was based on the Windows client. It was intended to work for the Windows client, so it was based on .NET and Windows forms. And later on in 2013, we have enhanced this framework, but there was still no support for the web client. And why is that? Because it was difficult to make the Windows Forms control run out of the box in a browser over the internet. So it was clear that something new was needed, and this is what we have come up with in the 2013 R2 with a new extensibility framework, but it is inspired from the old one, so it has the same programming model as the old one, but this time it is based on HTML and JavaScript. The main advantages is that it's supported by both the Windows and web clients. The Windows client supports today both of the version of the extensibility, and the reason being that we wanted to keep the compatibility with the custom you guys already created. And going forward, though, we recommend using the new extensibility framework for two reasons. One is that you write your add-in once, and it runs on both clients. And there is also the automatic deployment that the new client extensibility framework is supporting. So what is it that we need to know in order to be able to write your own add-in? So you need to be familiar with JavaScript, and because the client-side code is written in JavaScript, and yes, we know that some of you maybe are not familiar with it because you're more coding most in AL or in C#, but JavaScript is a simple, so we hope we're gonna have fun learning that as we had. Then the next thing we need to know is what is the control add-in, what does it consist of? So it consists of a manifest file, which is an XML document which describes the add-in to the NAV application. And then you have your JavaScript code where you implement your cool features. And then you have images and sheets for giving your control a special look. And then you take all these components and you wrap them in a zip file and upload them into the NAV database. And from there, the system knows how to deploy them automatically on the client computer.
So just to get this right, so if I need to do an HTML add-in, I need all these things.
Yes.
Okay.
And for those of you who have written control add-ins before with the old extensibility framework, you remember how painful it was to copy all the on the client machines. But now with this automatic deployment, the only thing you need to do is actually upload this zip file on the database.
So very simple deployment.
Yes, it's a very simple deployment. And because of that, even though if you guys are targeting the Windows client for developing your add-ins, it's still better to use the new extensibility framework because you're getting us for free, right? All right. So let's talk a little bit how does the deployment work. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to upload our add-in into the database. And when the browser loads a page that contains your card control, the server will read this zip file, it will unpack it, and it will deploy your components on the web server. So all your images, the style sheets, the scripts, they will get stored on your web server, and they will get downloaded on the browser per request. So if you have 100 images on your add-in, then they will also be stored on the server, but on the browser you'll get only one at a time. I mean, basically per request, right? The next thing that the web server is doing is adding an iframe to your web page. And that is because each control add-in renders itself into an iframe. I think one of the benefits the iframe also gives is security, because it runs in sandbox, right? Okay. But most controls also, they would like to interact with the NAV application, and it's kind of boring if they can't call into NAV, and they can't call. You can't call from NAV to your browser. So let's see about how this one works. So imagine you have created your own special button, and if you want to click on that, you want to invoke an NAV trigger. How does that work? So from your JavaScript code, you will issue a callback to the web server, and the web server will forward this to the Dynamics NAV server, which will execute the associated trigger. And
so that's when, from my add-in, I want to click on something or,
yes,
or do something, and I can execute IL code on the server, like
yes,
some business logic or something.
Yes.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And of course, it's possible the other way around. So in your trigger, maybe you would like to call back into the add-in in the browser to execute your method. And so then we issue a call from the CIL code, which will send this to the IIS, and the IIS will forward the call JavaScript code. And you can pass parameter to that method. It will support both simple type and also .NET types that you can define by yourself. Yes. So let's recap a little bit before we get into demoing this. I have prepared some demos for you today. Let's recap what are the artifacts of the extensibility. So we have the manifest file, which is an XML document. We have the JavaScript code where you implement your features. You have your images potentially on style sheets, and then .NET interface assembly. So the .NET interface assembly is the same model we had in the old version of the extensibility, and it was kept like that on purpose because we wanted for you to keep, we wanted to be compatible with the add-ins that were already created. So if you want to upgrade to the new version of extensibility and implement a web control, for instance, then you don't need to modify your application code if you keep the same interface. And this is what we have done also in the web client. It turned out to be very beneficial for us when implementing the controls in the web client, the charting, right?
So if I have this add-in, and if I have some logic in IL connected to an add-in, which I wrote it .NET, the only thing I need to write again is the UI part of it, basically,
yes,
right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. All right. So now it is demo time.
Yeah, so you're going to show us how we do that, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And so we'll start with a very basic add-in. that writes hello world an NAV application, a page. And so we'll first start with defining the .NET interface assembly we spoke previously, because this interface defines what is it that your control exposes to the NAV application, and what is it that you can call from your NAV application into this control.
So it's the contract between the add-in and NAV.
NAV, yes. So let's start with that. Let's create a new project of type class library, and let's call it my control. And I think you can remove the class. We need it. Yes. In order to create this interface, right, we need to reference the client extensibility framework. So let's add the reference to that. The client extensibility framework is called Microsoft Dynamics Framework UI.extensibility. Yes.
So this is the same, actually, the same as
yes. Everything that you did so far it was available actually in the
same model so far.
Same model, yes. So we kept it untouched on that. And now let's add a new interface called iMyControl. Yes. Okay. Yes, and in order for you not to see Vincent typing too much today, we have had some code snippets. So let's see what we have here, right? We have a public interface, iMyControl. So far it's empty, so nothing interesting there. But then there is the control add-in export attribute. This attribute is quite important because it says to the NAV application, I am an add-in, actually, right? And what is my name? That's my control.
So the only thing I need to do to expose this interface is actually add this attribute.
Yes.
Right? And this name is the name that NAV is going to refer to this add-in
yes.
as, right?
Yes.
That's the name of the control. Okay.
All right.
All right.
So let's build this. See if we succeed.
It builds.
Yes. Cool.
Cool.
Yes. And now the next step is to sign in our assembly, and the reason for it is that it's a security measure for the NAV server not to load assemblies that are not signed.
Yeah, so this assembly gets loaded by the server, right?
Yes.
So we don't want
people to replace your assemblies and load some assemblies that
right.
it's not. Yes. So let's create a new key. So for registering your add-in the NAV database, you will need the public key token of this assembly.
Okay.
And it is a bit cumbersome to get hold of this public key token. Of course, there are many ways you can get hold of. Like you can call sn-t in the Visual Studio command prompt, or you can create your own build task that will print that out in the output, right?
So sn
minus capital T,
minus
yes.
capital T, and then
the name of the assembly,
yeah.
the path where the assembly is located.
So
right?
that's the path to my DLL here.
Yes.
And when I execute that, I get the public key token here.
Mm-hmm.
I only need to do that
to that once,
right?
yes.
Okay.
And I think for those of you who are selling the add-ins, that this should be part of the documentation. For yes. So now let's try to register our component into the NAV application, and let's go back to web client and open a page that we have created in 2013 R2. We try to make it's called control add-in to make the management of your controls a lot simpler.
But I could do that on the Windows client if I wanted to, right?
Yes, yes,
okay.
Of course. But we're just demoing the web client. Okay.
So I create a new one here.
Yeah, and the name should be the same name that you had on your control add-in export.
Yeah, so the same name than this name, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, and the public key one I just got, right? From
yes.
sn-t.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Cool.
All
yes. So now we have, how you say, we have registered our NAV, our control to the NAV application. But now we need to describe this add-in. What is it composed of? So let's add the manifest file. Let's go back to your solution and create a folder called resource.
I can call it whatever, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
then you can add a new item, an XML document called manifest.
so this one I have to call manifest.
Yes, this one has to be called manifest, and the reason for it is that this is how the server knows how to do the deployment, right? So when it unpacks the zip file, it will try to read this manifest, and then it will search for the components that you have defined in it, and it will deploy them on the web server. So let's take a look at what we have cooked for you on the manifest file. Yes. So we have two sections in the manifest file. One section for the script URLs. This is where you need to add the scripts the external script that you are referencing. In our case, we are using the jQuery library, which is pretty common when you're writing JavaScript.
How many of you are familiar with jQuery?
Yes. Maybe they should get a T-shirt.
So you, maybe you should, yeah. There's one left, two left.
Two left.
Okay, so yeah, we're using while Horina is.
You.
So we were using jQuery in this example, but that's not a requirement. I mean,
Yes.
it's just something that's widely used in the web community, but you don't have to use it. It's not mandatory, but it's usually, if you don't know jQuery and you want to go into learn JavaScript development, I mean, take a look at it. It's going to save you a lot of hurdle and a lot of hassle for, you know, like cross-browser things, and when you do manipulation of your DOM and things like that, this is really the library you want to use. It's pretty much standard. All right.
Yes. Okay. So as I said, we're going to use jQuery library. Also, the amount of code you write with jQuery is a lot less, right? Because it has a lot of API that you can use. So what is then we have the script section. This is the part where you can add your code. And
so this is the code that is going to be executed in my add-in.
Yes.
Yes.
And what do we have there? So basically what we're saying is that when the HTML page is loaded, then a ready event will get triggered. This is very standard jQuery start, of your script. And then to this ready event, we have attached an anonymous function. And in that, what do? We search for the HTML element associated to the add-in, and we append the string hello world. Now, there is a couple of things we need to know about how the HTML looks. Vincent, if you can show the HTML on the desktop.
Okay, it's on the desktop, right?
Yes.
Okay, let me get to the desktop. All right, there we go.
All right. So as you can see, we have, so you know, as I said before, that each add-in gets their own iframe, right? And then we attach by default a div element. And the ID of this div element is hard-coded to control add-in. And this is kind of the parent HTML element of your control. So all your content you want to add on your page, for this control, you have to be added to this div.
So basically, let me see if I understand this right. When I have a page with an add-in on, an NAV page, whether it's a Windows client or the web client, I get an iframe, which is basically a piece of a browser. And in this iframe, we have this piece of HTML code. And then with my JavaScript, I can manipulate this HTML and add my own stuff, right?
Yes.
My own UI, my own cool UI there, right? Okay,
yes.
okay.
All right. So that's why our script, what it does, it searches for the ID control add-in, and then it appends the string, right? Okay. So now let's wrap this manifest file in a zip and upload this into the NAV database.
So where are we?
Yeah, we have to open the resource folder.
Oh yeah, that's true. Thanks. Let's do it from here. All right. So I just zip that file, right?
Yes. and,
Okay.
and copy the bus.
Yeah.
All right. So now let's go back to our add-in management in the web client. Yes, and we can import the zip.
So I point to the manifest here.
Yes.
.zip.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So our add-in
So
is
that was actually the deployment.
yes.
That's
Basically,
all
this
it
is
took,
what
right?
the only thing you need to do for deploying, right? And now it's time to actually use the control we have created. So let's go to an NAV page. I think for simplicity, we chose the customer card, the mini customer card.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we have created a group control for the my control, and we'll add a field to this group.
Call it my add-in, right?
No, call it my control.
My control? Okay.
Yeah, my control.
Oh, yeah, no space.
It's no, yeah.
Okay.
It's no, I mean, I don't know, just for us to recognize it. But of course, this is not a requirement that the name of the field is the name of the add-in. It is not. And now we need to basically say that our control is an add-in. So let's
So it gets surfaced here.
Yes.
I can add it here. All right. Okay.
Yes. So let's go back to the web client now and open the customer card. All right. So
Pretty cool.
yes.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, but now our add-in is a bit boring now, so it needs to kind of interact with the NAV application. And in order to do that, we need to extend this interface that was empty. So let's go back to Visual Studio and extend this with 2 elements. So what we plan to do, we plan to implement the following. When the add-in gets loaded, we wanted to call a trigger into the NAV application, and in the code for that trigger, we want to call back into my add-in and invoke a JavaScript method.
So like you showed on the slides.
Exactly.
Right?
So if you think of green oranges and
So calling from the client
oranges.
to some IL code and back from IL code to the browser, right? Or
Yes.
to the client.
yes.
Okay.
So what is it that we have there? Then we have an event called control add-in ready, and then the hello world method. What we need to know is that when the CL compiler will read this interface, it will generate in the application code a trigger called control add-in ready, and this is what we are going to invoke from our control. Okay, so now I think we should implement the hello function. So let's add a new subfolder called script, and yes, it is hidden, so it can't be called otherwise the deployment doesn't work.
So this folder has to have that name.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And then we add a JavaScript file.
Okay.
Cool. Let's copy our hello code. Right. So really, the method is not too much different from what we had in the script tag. What we do is like we fetch the element associated with the control add-in, and then we clear it, and then we append the string hello, and also the name. And when we invoke this method from the application code, we will try to pass the customer name as a parameter. All right?
Okay.
Cool. So now let's implement our call to the control add-in trigger in the manifest file.
So I have to open the manifest again.
Yes.
Okay.
And we should modify the CData section.
Okay. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So I get rid of the previous one, right?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So as you can see, we have a new method there that comes in the client extensibility framework API. That is called invoke extensibility method, and you can pass the name of the event to this method.
Here.
Yes, it has to be the name of the event you defined on the interface.
So it has to be the same name as this name.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to paste it over here. All right.
Yes. All right.
Okay.
Yes. Have we built the new assembly and so on?
It's built, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Then let's wrap the manifest and actually no, we forgot one thing.
Okay.
And that is we haven't in the manifest file that we're actually referencing the script. We need to do that. So let's add a script tag under the resource tag. Yes. Yes. So again, the server will read this manifest file. It will see the script tag, and it then will search for JavaScript1 .js file, and it will deploy that on the web server. So now let's go back to the resource folder and zip this again.
So I'll just get rid of the previous one and rezip the content here. Like that. Okay?
Yes. And
And
then
then register it again for my add-in page, right?
yes.
So back to the control add-in page, my control, import. So I'll get one because it's going to override my old one. And then we import the manifest here. Okay?
Yes. And the next thing we need to do is that we need to deploy this assembly, the interface that, to your role-tailor client add-in folder. And why it's to that folder is because in the installation, the development environment is installed in the same folder with the role-tailor client. So actually
So
what's
that's
happening
to tell
is
the
that
IA compiler
yes.
what this interface is.
Yes.
So you just need to, once you define your interface, you need to copy it once there, once for all, and then
then the compiler will
knows.
need that, will read that, and in your application you'll get your triggers generated.
So I just copy the DLL. That's
yes.
like the previous extensibility model,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, but this is only for the development environment, right?
Yes. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Have you copied that? Yes.
Yep.
Okay. So now let's go back to development environment and try to push the CL compiler to reread this interface. And we do that by clearing the console add-in and then set it again.
So that forces the development environment to reload the assembly.
Yes.
Okay.
And now we should open the code with F9. And at the bottom of the page, we should see our trigger generated. Yay!
So that's generated
from the interface.
All right, pretty cool.
Also, I think we forgot to mention that the application visible attribute in the interface. So basically, if you want your elements in the interface to be exposed to the end of the application, you need to use that.
These ones, right?
Yes. Yeah. So the compiler will generate or see what is it marked with the application visible attribute. That is actually the same as it was before in the previous version. All right. So now, if you remember, our ambition was to trigger when the add-in gets loaded, and then we want to call a JavaScript function in our control.
So we wrote the code already. The code we wrote here, just so I understand this correctly, right? Is it going to call this control add-in ready from the script?
Yes.
Okay.
And now we want in the script to invoke our hello function.
Okay.
So let's press F5 for the symbol menu and see whether the compiler can see our hello function. And let's look at the controls and all, and our hello method is there.
Okay.
So let's pass rectal name or. Okay.
Okay.
I think we're missing the semicolon.
Yeah. Thanks. Okay.
Yes. So this piece will invoke this hello method when the add-in gets loaded. But if we switch records between for let's say previous and next on the customer card, your add-in will not get updated automatically. So if we want to do that, so we need to go to an after record trigger and call the same.
So I'll just add the same line here.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Save
So,
and compile.
Let's compile and
Well,
now.
everything here. Let's see.
Yes.
So we're calling the control add-in ready from the client here.
Mm.
So we're gonna invoke code on the server. Where is it?
At the bottom of
Yeah.
the page. Yes.
And this code in turn is gonna call back this JavaScript method on my client in the name. Right?
And it will append the hello and the name of
Okay.
the customer to your HTML element. Okay.
Okay.
Let's try this.
All right.
Hmm?
So we get
Let's,
hello and name.
Record. See what has happened.
Oh, pretty cool.
Yes. Yeah. So this is on after get kind of record. It's actually a way to update your add-in when the data has changes. This is not something that happens automatically. That your add-in will get updated with the new data. Okay. The next thing we're gonna show is how to add an image to our add-in. So let's go back to our solution, and let's add an image folder.
And I call it image.
Yes.
And it has to be called image.
Yes.
All right.
I think in general the name of the folder has to match the name of the tags you have on the resources tab for deployment.
Then I'm adding an image
From desktop
desktop.
and select all files.
Okay.
Right.
Let's add the
Yeah.
logo
For
of the
now.
conference.
Yeah. For now. For now we are supporting only the PNG file, type file, but I mean it's supported by all browsers, so it shouldn't be an issue. Okay, and now let's add our image tag to the resource.
So in the resource tag, right?
Yes.
Like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
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 And then we should save this and upload it.
But don't you want to edit from the script as well?
Oh yeah, sorry, you're right. So
Thought so.
yeah, for once. Okay, so let's update our hello method to actually put our image.
So new version of the hello methods.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Get
there.
rid of the old one, right?
Yes. So there we have added what we had before. Actually, it's the same, similar, but we are also appending an image tag, and what we need for the image tag is the URL of the image. And we have in the client extensibility framework, we have created a new, added a new method that you can use for retrieving the URL of the image. That is, so you are not bothered with what's the name of your web server and where is the image located. And also, if you, for example, install this add-in on other servers, then you don't need to change the name or anything.
So you don't have to be, you just pass the name of the file.
Yes,
file.
and it
You don't
will
have to be
get
bothered with
computed
long
for you.
path and stuff like that.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Now I can zip it.
Yes.
Okay. All right. By now you should be familiar with this process. No matter what the zip file is called, right? Just go and reload. All right. Control is here. Okay.
Let's see how it looks. All right.
All right.
So the image there.
But the text is gone.
Yes. And there is an explanation for it. It's because the size of the custom control is 100 by 100. So we need to add our height and width.
So
on
we
the
can
manifest
adjust
file.
the size. We can define what the size of this add-in is going to be, right? In the manifest.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Let's do the deployment again.
So let's zip it again. Actually, I will just drag and drop it in the script like that. And then same. Let control. Add in. Same thing. Import. All right.
Yes.
There we go.
Yes? Okay. So I think we can continue a lot improving this add-in. We could also add the style sheets, and style sheet, for example, will be added the same way as an image, meaning you add a subfolder called style sheet, and you create a file, and you update the manifest file with this new tag for the style sheet. But I think we will stop the demo here, right? And let's recap a little bit what we have learned. Oh, we need to move to the back to the slide.
What's that? You want to move back to client?
No, I said, okay, never mind. Okay, so what we learned? We have learned that client had render in its own iframe, that we have a development associated by default that you have to add your HTML content to, and that HTML element has a hard-coded ID. We have learned how do we invoke trigger from our control using invoke extensibility method. We have learned how we can reference our add-in, for example, by using current page dot the name of the add-in dot the name of the method, and you can pass parameters to these functions. We have demo only the string type actually, but we support all types, and you can also define your own .NET types that you can pass to this method. And we have also learned that there is a new API for retrieving the URL of the images. Yes.
So with this, you can leverage the power of L5. There's no limit to what you can do. There's lots of control out there. Some of them are open source, some of them are commercial ones. A few examples. If you're wondering what this thing is at the bottom, is actually a cloth simulation. If you haven't seen that, it's pretty cool. Check it online. It's all written in HTML5, so you can really do a lot of advanced UI using L5 and JavaScript. And there's a lot of things you can leverage, open source community and also in the commercial in the commercial space. So we encourage you looking onward to use that extensibility model, because this is the one that is supported in both of our client add-ins. Once you'll have it enabled and running in both the Windows client and the web client. All right. Any question on the add-in? Yeah.
The sizing of add-in. What about the placement? Does it come always first place on top of the page?
I think it's up to the group, right? So you can control this by your group.
Yes. The question was about the placement of the add-in on the page, right? Yeah. Yeah. So you can. It's as Arina said. It's inside the control. So the control. Oh, sorry. The group actually controls the placement on the page.
And I think we have attributes well for whether it's stretched and so on. But it's all documented.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
How do you do the porting protocol? Is it like cascading style?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, it's HTML technology. You can. So we didn't show you. There was no CSS obviously, but you could like we included the image. You can include your own CSS file and you can style it. Pretty much use the styling the CSS style sheet of the NAV web client. It's pretty much what you want to do. There was a question over there. Yes. So the question that if you don't apply any style sheet, you won't get a style which resemble the existing client. As I said just before, you can actually reuse the CSS for the web client. Is freely available on your web server installation. So it's in the folder, and I can, if you want, I can tell you offline exactly where it is. Install your web server. It's not protected or in any way. It's just a file, and you can copy it over, and you can modify it. Or create your own as you wish. You're welcome. Any other question? Was somebody, or it's a little bit hard to see with the light here? Okay, so I want to show you is question with Office 365. You see some of this morning maybe at the keynote. Basically, if you SharePoint, or if you're not familiar with SharePoint, there was only a few show of hands before. So briefly, SharePoint is just a bit of context. SharePoint allows you to create a website without having to do development. So you can create webinars or intranet sites and using point-and-click interface. And you can create portals with different parts. And we actually lost the picture here. You know what's happening?
Oh, no.
Do you guys know what's going on? Yeah, so SharePoint allows you to create portals and websites without doing any web programming. What you can do with the 2013 R2, you can add your own parts. So you can create a portal basically where you have various parts coming from different backends. So you can create your own. Here we go. Your own documents. If you try to go back to the other one.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So of SharePoint. It's running actually in the cloud, but you can also do that in a thing. You have the graph that you recognize from the role center, and this is actually an NAV up part. That's called in a SharePoint terminology. And over there, right, you have reports, are tiles allowing you to trigger from NAV. Anything to do with NAV. This is our SharePoint application, and documents. This is also standard SharePoint stuff. So you can put together your portal and serve NAV stuff on your intranet portal or your customer-facing portal. Another cool thing is that if you go in any, for example, on the graph here, what's going to happen is that you're going to drill down to the graph, and then you're going to try to click on no, just to NAV.
I'm trying. To NAV.
Yeah.
Sorry, but we can go to NAV.
Yeah. So what's happening is that we actually redirect it to your NAV web server. What is here? So this is the feature we call the single sign-on, and it's cool because you can set up your user only once on environment, and in your NAV seamlessly logged on in both domains applications. See, there is an extra when you run in that mode. It says Microsoft Dynamics N65, so it's special mode. You know we work from Office 65 and from SharePoint. And you have an extra icon, the Office icon there, and if you click there, you'll go to SharePoint from there. How does that work? We're not going to mess up the people are using it, but we're going to show you on another test set. So basically, you go in your SharePoint site, and you say edit, and you get into the edit mode, and you click add parts. All sorts of like documents, microfeeds, which are standard SharePoint stuff. But then there's also NAV. There's a fair which have been set up. Actually, a lab showing you how to set these up. Well, there's definitely some readiness documentation how to share, how to expose these pages. If you're interested, come to me after the talk. I'll point you to. But then you can pick up a part, for example, a customer list, add it to your SharePoint site, and so you're NAV. It's like a win NAV and your NAV. Applications that you can surface in your SharePoint. All right, that's what we had in store. Now how much time for Q&A? We have like 10 minutes. So questions? Yeah, go ahead. No, it's not. It's not exactly. There's a similar. If you do web parts, what we used to call web parts are now called SharePoint. Concept is the same. So that's the similarity. And then additionally, we have sign-up between SharePoint and NAV, and you can also host it on the SharePoint Online, which was not something you could do before. So in there. So the question was, sorry for the repeating for recalling, the question was, what was similarity between previous integration and the previous version of NAV and 2013 R2.
Yes, I
yes.
mean the actions that are added to the grid, for instance, pages.
Yes, was when you change actions for the part. Yeah. Yeah,
Yes.
they were addicted on the yes, absolutely. All right. Question?
Can we use the SharePoint in Office Suisse and Prem? It's possible?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Can I ask?
Yeah.
On the Windows client,
Yes.
when you create an activity part, can you disable the appearing on the navigation pane?
Yeah, so the one we show you on the web client?
The Windows client.
Yeah, but you're asking whether we can disable them, client, right?
Yeah.
But
Actually, they're not supported.
Yes, are not supported.
So it's yes. The answer is yes. It's automatically we're only supporting these tiles, these action tiles on the web client.
Sorry,
Okay. I misunderstood your question. So.
Okay, on Windows client, when you
Yes.
it automatically populates in the navigation the same thing.
I see what you mean.
You disable it in R1.
No, I don't
think
think
It's a nuisance.
Okay.
Can you on board as feedback? Because if you develop activity parts with lots of tiles,
okay,
then your navigation pane gets very filled up.
Okay. Yeah. Well, this is good. All right. Question down there.
Is it possible to change the color of the actual stack? Because it's always blue.
Question is, can you change the color of the? So the answer is, so the queue stacks, I can change color as we name. The queue stacks are blue by default. You can't change them. You could change the web client by manipulating this, but you might, change a lot of other stuff. Like maybe change the color of the menu bar as well. I'm not sure, but that's what, if you want to, again, if you want to style the web client by customizing CSS, you can do that.
For example, you give it 1,000, don't show that as red.
Yeah.
Whereas others would green.
No, we don't.
Yes,
so the question is, like, have some kind of conditional color of this, like, say, if you have a lot of items in the over a certain number, you would change the color. No, we don't. But that could be a cool feature to have. But by now we